team members as well as all the young medicos who have joined us today. Let's start and let's have a wonderful session with plenty of sharing, caring, and information giving. Today, the theme of our series is part of the roadmap series, as we call it, and today's topic is optimism. Just to introduce what IMA D4D is all about, there are members who are coming for the first time on our webinar. The Indian Medical Association started this initiative for emotional well-being of medical students and doctors. And because that was such a mouthful, we came up with this short name tag for ourselves, or this initiative, saying it's doctors for doctors. And in short, we call it D4D. So that's how we call it, IMA D4D. So on behalf of the Indian Medical Association and all the members of the Doctors for Doctors team, I welcome all the participants, and let's have a wonderful session. May I ask our technical support people to please start the slideshow for the introduction of the speakers. I think it starts with a self-intro for me. I think most people do know me, but just in perspective, I am Dr. Nilima. I live in Bangalore. I am the chairperson of the National for the Emotional Well-being of Medical Students and Doctors, and I enjoy doing this work, which has become particularly more important ever since this COVID pandemic hit us and kind of pushed us into higher stress levels than normal. All the more reason that we have to invest in ourselves and our fellow doctors for emotional health, because we can only be wonderful doctors when we are first wonderful human beings, and to be wonderful human beings, we have to take care of ourselves.
Okay, sorry to jump in. Meena, if you're having any technical difficulties, I'll share the screen. Just let me know. And I've still not, see, unless you put your name, I won't be able to recognize Anu Gelot and Srijit Kumar. I'm waiting for, and Simran Kalra. There's three names that I need to see so I can unmute you. So please make sure, is that Jay Kalra? I don't know. I'm going to, if that is so, then please change your name. Yeah, so that I can unmute the faculty. Otherwise, unless I see your name, I don't know who to unmute. Anyway, so Meena, if you're having any problem with sharing the screen,
request Dr. Srijit N. Kumar and Dr. Anu Gelot to please ping Dr. Vivek so he knows your ID and he can unmute you.
Yeah, ping me your ID on the chat. I can do it, and let me see. I'm seeing some messages on the chat, and it's too many messages, so I'm sorry. I'm really hunting through this. Yes, hello. It says Anu Gelot. I can see you, but I need to see your name here so I can unmute you. Otherwise, I really don't know how to unmute. I have to unmute everybody then. So unless your names are there, I will not be able to do that. So please change your name. It's very easy. I'm allowing you to change your name. Change your name so I can identify you. Meena, if you're having any problem with sharing it, just stop sharing it. I'll share the screen.
No, I'm okay, Vivek.
I'm not seeing the screen. I should see Dr. Nilima's slide here. I'm still seeing the old one. So please share that PPT. Please share the PPT. There you go. All right. So I will be looking for the names, but you can understand the number of people. We're already 61. People are joining in very fast. So if I can find the names, it's fine. While I'm looking for the name, Dr. Nilima, you can continue to keep the audience engaged.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see now?
There we go. Yes, I can see that. They're all fine.
Once more, a warm welcome to all those who have just joined us and perhaps were waiting in the waiting room. And I'd like to introduce myself to all of you. I'm Dr. Nilima Kadambi. I live in Bangalore. I'm the chairperson of the Indian Medical Association Initiative for Emotional Well-being. And on behalf of the IMA, I welcome all of you today. I'd love to start by introducing our wonderful panelists and the different speakers we have today. Can we go to the next slide? Dr. Pratima Murthy. Okay, Dr. Madhuri Kanitkar is our analyst. She was on our first webinar last month and has been very kind enough to join us, and hopefully she will be there for the whole roadmap series. She is the Deputy Chief Integrated Defense Service Medical Officer and one of the well-decorated Lieutenant General in the Indian Army Medical Corps. She's also been the Dean of the Armed Forces Medical College and a pediatric nephrologist with a passion for medical education. She happens to be a member of the Board of Governors for the Medical Council of India, and that should be wonderful because our messages can reach the right people. Her passion and interest are personal fitness, public health, and medical education. Our next esteemed panelist is Dr. Pratima Murthy. Welcome, Dr. Pratima. She is the professor and head of Department of Psychiatry at NIMHANS, and she was the chief of the Center for Addiction Medicine and Forensic Services. She's also a member of my IMA D4D and a member of the IPS D4D. It's wonderful to work with her, and I'm sure she'll be having a lot of positive information to share and help our young medical students who are participating today. She is, of course, a very experienced psychiatrist, and she has interest in training and mentoring. So it's the perfect platform. This is an e-mentoring platform for all the young doctors here. She said she was once upon a time a quizzer and a debater. It can always be revived, I'm sure. Welcome, Dr. Pratima. Next in our panel is Dr. Srijiten Kumar. I think many of you young doctors already know him since he's the chairperson of the IMA Medical Student Network and a loved leader there. He's a physician specializing in diabetic care, and he's been a past president of IMA Kerala and currently, of course, the chairperson of IMA MSN. His interests, passions are health activism and public health. I think today public health is a crying need in India and all over the world. He's also been an author of a book, but I'm not sure I can pronounce it right, but it's on the screen for all of you all to read. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Srijit. The next doctor is Dr. Ms. Anu Gelot, who's a clinical psychologist, very passionate about counseling and therapy, and has been helping a lot of young doctors and even older doctors going through stressful times during the past 4 months of COVID duties. She is based in Delhi. She's practicing as a clinical psychologist, and her achievements are many, as you can see. She is very keen to support our IMA D4D along with her husband, Dr. Abhinav Monga, who's also a member of our IMA D4D and a psychiatrist. Her interests and passion are, of course, practicing mindfulness, gardening, and cooking. Wow, that's a lovely set of areas of interest. And it's always good to have many other interests besides our professional interests. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Anu. Dr. Samradni Sarode, a young postgraduate doing her MD in obstetrics and gynecology, one of the most demanding branches and somewhere where you can never plan anything. The babies will come when they want to come. She has completed her MBBS and has been ex-academic secretary of MARD in Maharashtra. She's based in Pune. She has publications to her name and she loves sports and yoga. Welcome, Samradni. We have Dr. Shravani Datta. Welcome, Dr. Shravani. She also joins us from Pune, doing her final year in MD Pediatrics at AFMC. She did her MBBS from St. G.S. Bombay and then a DCH. And she is going to be sharing some interesting personal stories and inspiring stories. Her interests are reading. Wonderful. A lovely hobby. I'm reading too. Welcome, Dr. Arvind Swami. I think there'll be silent applause from all the IMSN members because he is the national convener of IMA MSN team and he's been really active in this field. I've known him for some time now and it's lovely to have you here, Arvind. He's joining us from his place of internship. I think he just finished duty and he's been the recipient of National President of IMA Appreciation Award. His interests are solving students' problems. So you're in the perfect position to somebody will help you do that together with you. He would love to travel and explore the globe. Not immediately, Dr. Arvind. Let this corona problem reduce and then you start traveling. And you also plan to write a book, Leaders of Tomorrow. I think we have all the leaders of tomorrow right here. So welcome, Dr. Arvind.
Thank you, ma'am.
Miss Garima, our youngest speaker today, she is representing a whole lot of young medical students. She is presently a third-year medical student at Lokmanya Tilak Medical College, Mumbai. She is the State General Secretary for IMA MSN and a very active member, as I understand. She's been in positions of leadership in very other positions also that you can see on the screen. She has been an NSTS scholar and an Alan Champ scholar. Her interests include hardworking, conscientious, and diligent as a person, loves to take up new challenges. Well, today we are going to be talking about optimism, and loving to take up challenges is the best way to be optimistic and succeed in life. Thank you for being with us, Garima.
That's the last.
No, I need a slide. There is one more slide. There is one more slide.
Oh.
Yes. Now, this is a very important message to all you participants. As part of this interactive webinar, we are going to be asking a bunch of questions and we need your opinion. But since there's so many of you all participating, the easiest way to do it is like KBC with the fastest finger first. We'd like you all to download this website, and it's a polling station. Later, Dr. Madhuri will be also showing the QR code which you can scan on your smartphones if you're logging in from a different screen. But otherwise, all of you all please note that http://etc/o_y_e_j. Please download this, keep it ready, and when the polls come, I would want all of you all to enthusiastically share your opinions and views. Okay? Thank you very much. We can close the screen now if everybody has got it. And if not, I request one of the participants to please type this in the chat box to everybody so it's available to copy and paste in their own browsers. Thank you, Meena. And just now, before we start off the actual session, I'd like to give a small perspective on what we want to get out of today. I'm sure all of you all are enthusiastically waiting for the panelists, and I won't take too much time. But what is optimism? To all of you, it might mean something different. It's definitely a positive quality. And it's something that can be synonymous to happiness, positivity, to joy, to success, to enthusiasm. And it's integral to who we are. And it's not something that you can just be born with or you're not. I'm a pessimist by birth. No. We develop our nature or habit by conditioning ourselves. And optimism is a quality that can be inculcated, groomed, and developed. Just like a muscle, when it's exercised, becomes strong, when you use optimistic approach to everything in your life, your power to be optimistic does increase and get stronger. A lot of people have a lot of stories about optimism, but here's something. There's a glass and there's a bottle of water. I'm feeling thirsty, so I'm pouring myself some water. I've poured half a glass. So the classical thing is to say, is the glass half empty or is it half full? How many people say it's half full? Can you just raise your hands in the chat box or in that button that you have to say thumbs up or a thing, or on the video screen you can say thumbs up if you'll say it's half full. May I see all your thumbs up? If anyone thinks it's half empty, you can show your thumbs down. Are we getting lots of thumbs up or are we getting more thumbs down? I'm not able to see all the screen. But my take on this is, it's not just optimism, it's realism also. This glass is half full of water, but the rest half is not empty. It's half full of air too. The two most essential ingredients for our life, clean air and clean water. So that's optimism for me. Thank you. And let's start now with our youngest speaker, Garima, who's going to be sharing what she feels are her key challenges and where she may be struggling to have an optimistic outlook. And we'll have Dr. Anu, our psychologist, helping her figure it out. Over to you, Garima.
Yes. Garima, I'm not able to hear you, although you're unmuted.
I would like to thank you everyone for giving me to share my views in this amazing initiative for Doctors. During these times of COVID, there are several uncertainties which students are facing. The fear of extension of their regular academic session, the fear
Garima,
of
can you hold your
losing
mic?
their dear
Don't move
ones,
your
the
hand,
fear
please.
of class.
Garima, please don't move your hand. Your voice is going up and down. Hold the microphone fixed near your mouth. Yeah, please. There you go.
You can start again, no
You
worries.
can start again.
We're all
Absolutely.
friends here, and today is International Friendship Day, so we're all going to be friendly, okay? Don't be nervous, it's okay.
Right. Yeah, please do. Go ahead, start.
You can unmute. Is there a technical problem? I'm unable to hear you, Garima.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
now you are. Please go ahead. Proceed.
No, please hold it again. Your mic close to your mouth.
First of all, thanks to
Yes.
everyone for giving. Okay, so first of all, thanks to everyone for giving a chance to share my views on this amazing initiative for this Doctors for Doctors. During these times of COVID, there are several uncertainties which students are facing. The fear of their extension of their academic session, the fear of losing their dear ones, the fear of classes, the fear of exams, and various others. The major concern which I would like to see for the undergrads during this can be classified like as the, we can say first lectures. In some colleges they are having their online lectures, and yeah, but that for few subjects. But in others, some students are not able to get access to them. Various other issues which are that the availability of platform that can accommodate all students. Like we can't say we can't consider that every department and for every batch they will be buying the Zoom or any other subscription. That is bit difficult. And even the connectivity issues students are seeing in the remote areas. But still there is a hope of positivity that our teachers are doing their best and giving their best learning the new technology so that they can get used to and give us the best possible education we can get, even staying at our homes, being in a safe condition. The second point which we can say is the clinical rotations. The students are not able to have any patient exposure, no hand-on trainings, no clinical examination with clinics or anything related to interact with patients.
I hear you, Garima. I can see that there are lots of challenges in our undergraduate students. But if I'm hearing you right, would you say the uncertainty of what's going to happen next is what is personally to you one of the biggest challenges? This feeling of uncertainty and not knowing how to prepare for what's going to come because you don't know what's going to come.
Yes, so these are the
Yeah, please go ahead. Garima, we can hear you.
amongst these uncertainties and amongst these fear, there is a ray of positivity and the effect that our government, our teachers, our professors, everyone are working their level best, so that we are having, even there is a facility of online internal examinations going on right now. We are getting possible, even in some students are getting the availability that they can stay at their home and can work at their workplace.
Okay, we'll go
Vivek.
to your next challenge later. But I'd like Dr. Anu to step in and maybe guide you on coping with uncertainty and finding how best to deal with this situation.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible to everyone?
Very clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting this. So, like Garima said, that uncertainty can really perplex human mind, ambiguity to being able to deal with situations which we cannot predict. And COVID has brought about a gamut of challenges wherein we are unable to plan or decide as to how to go about it. And I think a lot of students, especially students, because they have had limited exposure, can be prone to problems like anxiety, low mood, irritability, fear of losing loved ones. And then to top it all, the nature of this pandemic has also sort of kept them away from their family. So that sense of support that they usually used to get from family, that's also not adequate. So a lot of students who have reached out to me, and a lot of people that I have spoken to, especially the healthcare workers, they have reported feeling apprehensive working in the COVID ward because they feel threatened that they might be exposed. And even if they're not fearful about their own lives, they feel fearful about going back to their families. And then
Right now, Garima is an undergraduate, so she's not yet working in the COVID wards. That will come when we have our interns and our PGs. But right now, her challenge seems to be many, but one of them is the inability to cope with this uncertainty. When will classes resume? How will they get clinical exposure? Will this online studying be enough to really become a good doctor? So how would you help her and people like her, who are many in the audience, cope with this?
So Garima's, apprehensions about how that academic growth will happen are very, very valid. They come from very valid place because it's not going to be very conventional. The way the academic progress used to go on, that's not going to happen. So I understand that uncertainty can really boggle you. But at the same time, we need to somewhere cultivate awareness that this situation is something that's not in our control, and what's currently happening is for the longer good. So we need to somewhere understand and rationalize this situation for something that's for the better. So if you are experiencing anxiety or just normal dilemmas, or those thoughts with regard to uncertainty, we can probably practice mindfulness, relaxation. We can have a routine. We can have an academic timetable wherein we are able to cover course despite of that not being covered in college. And if we still feel that anxiety is something that we are unable to handle, then I request all the students to really reach out to a professional that can help them manage their anxiety and their apprehensions.
Would you like to add something to this, Dr. Madhuri? As you've been a faculty and a dean, and you must have dealt with these situations even before COVID.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Nilima. Garima, since the theme is optimism, I thought I'll turn it around that these problems are here to stay. Like Anu said, and she's teaching, telling coping mechanisms. But what is the optimism in it? What have you got? Like Nilima just showed about that water and the glass. So, firstly, what you've got is that it's everyone in your batch or that term or the country or the world is affected similarly. You're not alone in this. So it's not that, it's affecting you. So look at the positives. Look at the optimistic thing that this has to finish. I mean, it's not that Corona is going to go on for the rest of your life, right? So the first thing is that this will come to an end at some point, and that is where, the whole world is on that optimism that we are going to find that vaccine, we're going to find that magic cure, and we're going to get over it. So this is your aspect. Look, everyone is everywhere. It is the same. And the second thing, have I looked at the half water which I have? what has this given me an opportunity? It's given me time which I have on my hands against being at college. Am I using that creatively? I mean, can I take on a little project? Because I'm already a healthcare worker. So can I, as a medical student, at whatever year you are, whatever your level of understanding, can you talk to some of your teachers and say, can you take on an awareness program? Can you reach out to someone in the community? So there is so much that you can. So two things. One is to optimism of thought, and the second is channelize your time and energy, what you have, into a positive. I think that would bring a lot of optimism into of every undergraduate across the country, and you'd have probably 50,000 of them. So it's not one or two.
Thank you, Dr. Madhuri. Garima, are these tips helping you?
Ma'am, the one point which I would like to I have in my mind is that as presently we are not having any exposure to clinic and for proper clinical scenarios, so would it affect the future healthcare workforce? Like they are getting proper exposure, and then like today's youth we can start distance doing so the current pandemic did that
Yes,
affecting future workforce and
I
it
hear you. I
compromising
can hear what you're saying. I can hear what you're saying. Medicine is not a theoretical science that you can just learn. It's the art of practicing healthcare that is also to be learned. And the best place to learn that is by the bedside. So let's just take a deep breath and remind ourselves that Corona also will come to an end, the crisis part of it. And ability to go back and learn at the bedside of the patients is going to be a part of your training. Maybe you have to wait a little longer, and maybe then you have to work a little harder, but that's okay. You'll always have the opportunity. And when there's a willingness to learn, the opportunities to learn will come. And a few months, right now in your young age, it might feel like a really long time. You've been stuck at home for months. But in the bigger picture, in your long-term career, when you're going to be a great doctor and work for years and years, you look back on this time and say, wow, I'm glad I got that breather. Not many students get it. We were through our undergraduate and postgraduate and back to back, without a break. And that can sometimes deter or be something that brings you down from your enthusiasm of being a great doctor. I'd like Dr. Pratima to add something to this from her perspective as a psychiatrist. You are muted, Dr. Pratima. Unmute yourself, please. We are unable to hear you.
I don't know whether I'm able to reach out to her because I did not see her. Yeah, Pratima Murthy, I did. Pratima, you should be there. Let me see. I have to search.
Kindly unmute yourself, Dr. Pratima. If not, Dr. Vivek, please
Hello?
unmute everybody.
No, it will be a big mess. She can unmute herself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So what both Garima and all of you said reminds me of this a little bit of a changed Einstein's theory of relativity, which kind of says in a lighter vein, when when you're sitting on a hot radiator, a second seems like an hour, but if you're doing something very nice, an hour seems like a second. So right now in the time of COVID, I think it's like sitting on a hot plate, because you really, and that's what makes it so frustrating. And Garima, you're not alone in this frustration. All physicians intensely feel this frustration. I mean, we are used to examining patients, we are used to sitting down close to them, we're used to comforting them. So, I mean, can you imagine after 25, 30, 35 years of doing this, the kind of sense of ennui and helplessness. And therefore, I mean, I completely empathize with you. But the important thing is that when the best is not possible, you have to look for what is second best. And I think, for example, that's why, for example, vineyard-based learning, looking actually at case histories, learning how to analyze these cases, and of course, maybe doing online interviews, learning about how to make decisions and clinical decisions through that is very important. The second thing that I got reminded of was something called the Serenity Prayer. which actually is a very, very good life skill that we all need to learn. And what
It's one
it
of
says,
my favorite. I was going to say that if you didn't.
yeah. So it basically says, let me have the serenity to accept the things I can change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And right now, the second thing, the courage to change the things that I can, perhaps, is the most important thing. We've got to constantly look and see what is it that we can change? How can we help ourselves? What can we do to make things better for ourselves? So I think it's one important thing is about how we can help ourselves. And the second thing is how can we get support from those around us, in terms of helping us and moving along.
Would I be right in saying you get the courage to change what you can when you have optimism and you have hope of something better?
Yeah.
And
there's another little song that I know, which says, every single cell in my body is happy, every single cell in my body is well. So thank yourself. I think giving gratitude for what you have is also an important way of being able to at least be in the moment and being a little patient for things to change. It doesn't mean that you must give up your goals and your aspirations. You must keep them, but also develop a little patience to wait for those to actually get realized.
Yes, keep your goals in mind, fuel it with your passion, your optimism, and your enthusiasm and hard work, and allow those wonderful things that are waiting for you to happen in their own good time. We can't make the outcome happen when we want it, but we must keep working towards it. Okay? We have talked about one big challenge that you and many undergrads are facing about the uncertainty and the difficulty in not being able to go and learn at the bedside. We will come back to you again for the further challenges, but let's now give an option to the intern amongst us to talk about something that they are on that, neither an undergrad nor a postgrad, somewhere stuck in between. So for them, I'm sure there are even different challenges that are coming up. So over to you, Dr. Arvind. Please don't go away, Garima. We'll be asking you some more questions and some more inputs. Yes,
First
Arvind.
of all, I would
Let's
like
hear
to,
from you.
yes. First of all, I would like to thank Nilima ma'am for giving me a wonderful opportunity, and a respected panelist and friends who are watching. Happy friendship day for everyone. So, ma'am, as we can see in the current era, varieties of stress which we all are currently facing, whether by a doctor or a bureaucrat or a politician or a student or a businessman and the rest everyone. The mental peace of every individual is hampered in this pandemic times. That many are worried what will happen with our present jobs or academics or a personal or social life. Similar is with interns also, ma'am. We are serving currently in
Hear
cold
about
wards
the
and the other
intern,
level
you
of
and your
healthcare
colleagues.
system in which daily encounter with positive cases over there. Many of fellow colleagues are officially worried about infection and other things. Apart from my colleagues, many of our parents also live in intense. Environment about us is our condition and our risk of exposure. It is high risk, ma'am, to be frank. But I think we as a current interns who are serving in the society, whichever way we are going, we have much greater role in this play through these times. And many of them.
Just a pause here, Dr. Arvind. I'd like to say heartfelt gratitude to you and all other interns and PGs who are working as the frontline warriors, we are calling you. I know you all never signed up to be warriors, you all signed up to be doctors, but today doctors are warriors. And your concern about that infection that you all are facing and risking probably yourselves into acquiring that, and your worry about carrying it home to your parents and other loved ones. So here, before you go on to the other challenge, one big challenge, and I'm sure many people share, is this fear of that corona infection. I'd like to ask Dr. Srijit, who is one of the experts on infection management and especially has been giving lots of talks. So Dr. Srijit Kumar, would you like to handle this fear and this worry that is overwhelming a lot of young doctors?
So first of all, thank you very much and congratulations, madam, for this wonderful initiative. I just joined to show my solidarity, and as I had sent you a message, I have a TV show coming up at 7 o'clock. So after my brief address for around 2 minutes, I'll be signing off.
Okay.
but it's thoroughly enjoyable. So actually, everyone in MSN know that I'm not a fun guy, and I usually increase tension, and they would prefer COVID every day to me. Uh, so actually, they have been groomed so hard that I don't think anybody in MSN, for anyone in MSN who has dealt with me, COVID will be any issue, because yeah, that was the training we. And one more thing I'll tell you, in Malayalam, there's a story where a guy learned about coconut tree and went to write an essay, but they asked about a cow. Then he told that the cow was tied to a coconut tree, and then he started explaining about the coconut tree. So similarly, I have come here with a very specific agenda of answering three things about optimism. So I'll put it across in next 2 minutes, and then I'll beg leave. And I'm very sorry to miss the rest of the session. So the three things which I want to say that, yes, we need to be optimistic for three counts. One, we have vaccine coming up. And until last week, we were desperate. But last week, we had a very, very promising study from the Oxford University, which told that it showed around 90 to 98% efficacy in one dose and almost 100% efficacy. Of course, it was laboratory, but antibody response, neutralizing antibody response was obtained. And now they are entering the phase 3 study, and in the next 6 months or so, we should have a vaccine. And they are having stiff competition from almost 23 contenders. So that means that we have some light at the end of the tunnel. And what I would like to say is, this journey is not going to be too long. So please do enjoy the tunnel before we start seeing the light. So that is the first. Now, the second thing is that because of all of us, I'm sure that all of us enjoy night, maybe even little more than how we enjoy day, because nightlife is definitely something good. And please do enjoy that during your the brief stay which we are going to have while we are in the tunnel. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is that how we get ourselves safe. Now, I will say that if you are fully protected, the risk of COVID is much less than the risk of having an accident on a road. Uh, the risk is actually very, very remote. But if you don't protect yourself, of course, there is a high risk. And there is one huge bonus for like I am a physician, and we keep seeing, we know that June, July, August are rainy season, and that is usually the fever season, the season with cough and cold. But right now, where have all those cough and cold disappeared? There's nothing. We are not seeing any runny nose. But none of us are allergic. Why? Because all of us are now wearing masks. So when we are wearing masks, when we are having hand hygiene, actually, it is not very good for doctors because you are running out of patients. But still, you can charge the very few patients.
It's a good thing.
Who are coming to you. Maybe you can increase your consultation fee and see 10 patients rather than 100 patients who used to come to you with all those, diseases. And like over the last at least 5 to 10 years, I had been running a fierce propaganda, especially in Kerala, saying that it is unscientific to give summer vacation because that is what the Britishers want. What we need to give our kids are rainy vacation because that is when all these respiratory illness spread. Unfortunately or unfortunately, now we have the exact same thing happening. There is vacation during rain, and there is absolutely no spread of respiratory illness. So that is that is one thing which I want to say. So to be safe, we just need to do. I'll just take 1 more minute. To be safe, we just need to do one more thing. Like I had quoted an example to Neelima Madam. It is as simple as wearing a helmet when you are riding a two-wheeler, or putting a seat belt when you are driving your four-wheeler. So it is as simple as that. WHO on 9th of July brought out a very credible statement in which they told that COVID spreads in three conditions. 1, closed door. 2, long interaction. And 3, how proximal you are. So to get rid of that, most of your interaction or almost all your interactions should be outdoor as far as possible. 2, stay as far away as possible. Though government says 2 meters, make it 20 or 200 if you can. And third thing is, the encounter should be very short unless you are over the Zoom. Online, you can carry on. But otherwise, one-to-one interaction minimized to the minimum possible time. So that is one dictum. Second thing, hand hygiene, I don't want to elaborate. Third thing, proper use of mask. And fourth thing, environmental hygiene. And right now, the emphasis on fomite transmission or contact transmission is much less than what it used to be from the beginning. But still, it is very good to keep your surroundings clean with 1% hypochlorite solution or a bleaching solution. or with Lysol or alcohol solution. Now, what we have implemented in IMA, the aftermath, if someone asks 10 years later, what has happened during COVID, I have only one line to say: all the small and medium institutions in Kerala have got infection proof. We have implemented a project called iSafe, that is IMA initiative for safe practice. Until then, we never bothered about that. Right now, we have more than 1,000 small and medium institutions, small clinics. And let me tell you, not even a single infection occurred in any of these clinics when more than 200 to 300 cases have been reported elsewhere. And all these doctors and the paramedics are sticking to the infection control practices, these simple little things, and preventing themselves from getting infected. And this is not going to go after COVID. This infection control network, or the iSafe network, is here to stay, and that will ensure infection-free environment for years, long years to come. And my third and last point, which will take only 10 seconds, that there is nothing to fear. Be very optimistic, because MSN is here. So Medical Student Network is here to look after all your issues. Simran told me that she has received 13,000 problems. Right now, over the last 3 days, all our MSN leaders had been working on that. And I'm extremely grateful that our Board of Governors is also here. We are going to, don't worry, we will not present all the 13,000 problems, but at least 13 problems. The most pressing 13 problems, we'll put it across to you. And Madam, kindly help us to solve it for the students. So we have 3 reasons to be optimistic. Vaccine is here, infection can be controlled, and MSN is here. So thank you very much, Nilima Madam. And maybe another 2 minutes, I'll stay put. And then, you know, the crew has already come.
I just wanted to add to what you said. So Dr. Arvind, I hope you and all your fellow interns and PGs who are working in the front line got your answer. That as long as you follow the due process and take your full precautions of PPEs and other things, you are as safe while you are in the hospital as anywhere else. And according to Dr. Shijit, it is safer than being on the road where you can have accidents.
Yeah, ma'am.
But also adding to what he said, he was talking about day and night and enjoying the tunnel before we reach the light. So optimism is, at night, enjoy the stars and count them. Look for the comet maybe these days. In the day, get a nice tan and your vitamin D from the sun. And if it's raining, just look for the rainbow and you will surely find it. That's optimism for you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Arvind. Apart from the infection, what are the other biggest challenge that perhaps you all are feeling? I thought once you had mentioned to me about getting overwhelmed with some things that are happening in your life. So let me hear about that.
Yeah, ma'am. Apart from my colleagues, ma'am, many of the parents are also live in tense environment about us, our condition, and our risk of exposure. But I think we as an intern who's serving a society in whichever way we are doing, we have a greater role to play in these times.
So you're looking on yourself as wearing a badge of honor and being proud to be able to do service to society and humanity. And that helps you overcome any fears or apprehensions you may have about working with COVID patients. Is that right?
Yeah.
Dr. Anu, what would you say about young doctors maybe feeling overwhelmed because suddenly their workload is very different from what they expected it to be when they stepped into professional life? You need to unmute yourself, Anu.
I would ask the faculty to keep themselves unmuted all the time, because I have to keep on, when you mute yourself, I have to again give you permission to unmute. So all the faculties, whoever, I'm going to ask everybody to unmute. But Madhuri was managing so well. Some of you are managing very well. So I think the best way is, Simran, I'm giving you permission to unmute. Meanwhile, Madhuri had raised her hand. So while I'm trying to unmute others, Madhuri can ask.
Please go ahead. Dr. Madhuri or Dr. Anu, whoever.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just add to Dr. Srijit's in a lighter vein at that point, because he said there were 13,000 complaints. And I said, wow, that's optimism, because I can do an MCQ, you know, and quickly just divide it by 4, because this is the whole batch of MCQs. So I said, I mean, if I had only 3, no, then I have to answer all 3. But if I have 13,000, I said that's optimism. So that's one excellent thing. The second thing I wanted to sort of now, since it's a medical forum, I thought I'll bring in a little bit of evidence on things which Srijit said. One is about the vaccine. And I have just moved on to this symposium from an ICMR symposium from where it was like Fauci onwards. Everyone was like the who's who from Sweden to Oxford to all the primary vaccine people, including the Indian. We heard a lot about it. And, the story that's coming out, it's amazing. Now, what's optimism in this? What is the evidence? Firstly, there are 2 vaccines already in phase 3 trials. And
Wow.
the thing is, yes, and the thing is that we are moved into a human, a human challenge trial, which is rarely done. It's a different thing which against an RCT, like the US vaccine, it's an RCT. But here we are doing a human challenge because they're so sure of the safety and want quick results. So this is something which is another amazing thing. And the third thing is, today we can all put our collars up. The world is looking at India for vaccines, because whoever produces the vaccine, the manufacturing is going to happen in India. So that is something, is height of optimism, and 3 cheers to that. And our Prime Minister has told the world that what we are, the world is a family. So we are not going to produce here and say we're going to hog it all up. We will follow the international guidelines of giving it first to healthcare workers, to the most susceptible, and ensuring that this is maintained at the international level. So I think you can't have it better. So that's, I think, a height of optimism, and I thought I must share it with this medical fraternity here.
Thank you, Dr. Madhuri. That was wonderful news, and I'm sure all of us are cheering. And it comes back to our Bharatiya Sanskriti, which says Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is a family. And so if somebody is hurting, we reach out to them. We help our own and we help everybody. And that's what we'll be doing when we do manufacture the vaccine. So coming back to Dr. Anu, how would you say students should cope with feeling overwhelmed when they're suddenly faced with this huge amount of COVID cases, mortality, and all the rest?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, for healthcare workers, being optimistic is the most challenging thing, given that positive is the most dreaded word nowadays. So, I feel that the most vulnerable bracket when it comes to stress, because they are clearly in contact with people who are going through so much. And then to top it all, the support system is wobbly. The resources provided to them are inadequate at times. So there are various things that we need to understand, and as healthcare workers, we need to focus on information that is positive. A lot of times in stressful situations, we tend to focus on negative information. That attention bias tends to perpetuate during these times. So as healthcare workers, we need to probably focus on positive information, say the number of recoveries every day, the medicine in line which is probably coming, the vaccination, the trials, and also probably expressing gratitude for whatever we have as of now. I feel that in this pandemic, we are very fortunate to have technology at our disposal. The fact that all of us can sit together and talk right now and have a discussion like this, we can stay connected with our loved ones. So technology is something to feel really grateful about. So, staying connected, having a routine, physically stimulating yourself, engaging yourself in exercises, mindfulness techniques, relaxation, reaching out to people when you feel a certain way, staying connected with your family, using technology to your advantage, and, probably reaching out to professionals when required too. But at the same time, voluntarily, like we say, that we choose to be happy. And to be optimistic, we have to choose that information that we inculcate in our meaning making process. So we have to voluntarily choose to be optimistic this time, because it's genuinely challenging.
Wonderful. Dr. Arvind, please stay on. There will be some questions and then there will be some polling that's going to happen soon. But let's go on to Dr. Samradni and let's hear as her experience in the last few months as a chief resident in a government medical college hospital treating OB/GYN means a lot of delivery cases where you can't wait, say, let me get the test report and then decide how to manage. So let's hear your experience and what were the challenges and how you managed to overcome them and whatever else.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Nilima ma'am, for giving me such great opportunity to at least share my experiences with you all and especially the young medicos we have here.
Yes.
So, yeah, I have worked for almost 3 months now in COVID ward in Pune, which is one of the most infected, one of the most affected cities of India. And initially, actually, I was on my preparatory leave when I got a call in April that we have to join back to work in COVID wards. So initially, I was very apprehensive and I was very anxious. One was that I was scared of infection, and on the other side, I was stressed about my exams because they were scheduled in the next few months. And so yeah, but then I thought, we being in medical profession, we are
Samradhini,
actually,
can you hold your mic slightly closer? Yeah.
yeah,
That's
sorry.
better.
Okay. So we being actually in this medical profession, we are actually very lucky to get such opportunity to at least contribute ourselves, contribute whatever we can in such difficult times. So, but obviously the initial period was not at all easy, especially working in the PPE for like long 8 hours. We used to have so much of dehydration and even with the goggles, glasses and the facial which we used to wear, it used to get fogged. Our vision used to get obscured. So our efficiency was reduced to 50%. Like with what we can do normally, it was not possible to do what it like similarly in the COVID with the COVID
Like
patient.
when you're trying to walk in a foggy environment, you're going very
Yes.
cautiously and slowly.
Yes, ma'am. Because like I still remember in my first COVID duty, like for 4 or 5 hours, you can do still okay. But after that, it gets very, very difficult. Like it just feels like you just feel like throwing off your PP.
So
But
it's not just the mask that's getting fogged, it's your brain also that's getting fogged.
exactly, ma'am. Yes. And also in being a gynec resident, we had to do emergency cesarean sections in cases of fetal distress or abruption, where we cannot delay the management, as you likely said. So that time it is very difficult to work in PP. So that was one challenge. And the other things were the personal things like we have to stay away from our friends and family. We had to compromise on our accommodation, food facilities, and also the uncertainty of our exams. That
So
was
what kept you going through all this? I hear and I can just try to imagine the huge problems that you all were facing, but what kept you going through it all?
ma'am, one was that like later on actually it got improved. Like surprisingly, working in PP after a few days, it got little bit comfortable.
That's the
And
amazing thing about the human body and mind, no? We
exactly,
can
you get
adapt.
acclim-
If
yeah,
you
exactly.
choose to adapt, you can adapt.
Yeah, right. And also one thing which kept my anxiety level down was talking out what I really feel about my feelings, because when you talk to someone, you actually feel very good about it.
So
Because
you
once
were
you let
talking
out
to
what
your friends or your family or to a professional?
both the friends and family actually. So that one thing, and the other thing was that you get the sense of satisfaction after working in such difficult times. And
A sense of achievement, no? That yes, we did it.
yeah, exactly. Because COVID has
Not
actually
wrong.
affected.
If I'm not wrong, I think you also did become COVID positive.
Yes, ma'am, right. Amongst all these positive things, I even turn out to be positive. But I was not scared of infection because if you look at the statistics, we young people, we are not tend to suffer, we get severely affected with the infection. So
Absolutely. So it's a
what I
very
was,
positive thing and optimistic thing that all of you all are young and healthy people. And even if you get COVID, it'll be nothing more than a bad cold or a cough.
exactly, ma'am. But what was creeping me out was staying alone in one room for 14 days or God knows how many days.
Ah.
But then initial days were actually very terrible. I didn't feel like talking to anyone. But then later on, I realized that within these 3 months or 3 years of residency, I had never got so much of free time for just myself.
Ah,
Like
the
the
me
entire
time.
day, yeah, entire day, nobody to disturb me. So I tried to be positive, like how much ever I can. Then nothing. I used to just try to study and listen to my favorite music, meditate if possible, and watch
And
Netflix and chill.
you recovered quite
Yeah, and then
adequately and you could
after,
go back to work,
yeah,
right?
luckily I had very mild symptoms, just sore throat and headache. So after that, I got discharged on 10th day, and then I joined my duty back.
So there you have it. All those youngsters who might be feeling scared of catching COVID, here's a person who caught it, recovered, and went back right back to duty. It's like when you fall off a horse, you're supposed to get back on quickly so you don't develop a fear for that horse. So, Dr. Pratima, what's your take on this? I'm sure a lot of young doctors may be getting into this quarantine mode because of getting infected. And as she said, the first few days were most challenging and sometimes can be depressing or can feel overwhelmed. So, what would you suggest?
So
Anyone
Samratni's
to
story,
self-help?
Samratni's story is a very, very encouraging story. And I think those stories need to be told. We have residents and residents. One of my other, favorite things to say is, pain and stress are inevitable, but misery is a choice. So
Right.
I think the very, very important thing is, I can easily say we work with, we have more than 200 residents. And some of them are, the anxieties about, getting COVID, about whether there's a breach of PP. These are all very, very real anxieties. But many of us, many of our residents who actually, at least not some of them, have not had any breach in PPE, which is great. I think for us, I think protecting and taking care of our residents is our primary aim. But what has happened is sometimes the guard gets let down in the hostel, eating with others, maybe studying with others. So it's all done, with a sense of, defeating that loneliness. And sometimes that becomes the problem where, where you actually possibly, get an infection from each other. So I think the important thing is really to learn how to handle this loneliness, especially in isolation or in quarantine. Especially in quarantine, when you're waiting for a test result, there's always that fear, oh my God, will I turn positive? We know that turning positive just means another 2 weeks of isolation. And as Samratni said, we will, most people, young people, get over it. But it's just that uncertainty. Dealing with that isolation, I think, is very important. And that's where a lot of the inner skills that one has is crucial. Learning how to keep the mind calm, maybe using the various tips, whether it's yoga, whether it's mindfulness, doing something to keep the mind calm, discovering your own talents. I've actually had people who've written poetry, who've done paintings, and so on. So we started this little activity saying, Kuch to karo na. And we've seen such amazing skills amongst our residents. Somebody's reciting poetry, somebody's singing ghazal, somebody's painting the most beautiful things. And so I think these are things that actually can help. And we've all seen examples of people doing things online and so on. The other thing Samratni mentioned is connectedness. So physical distancing should not be seen as social isolation. It's very, very important to stay connected, and having buddies, especially in your professional thing, somebody to watch your back. Somebody is in quarantine, they make sure that their food is made available to them, or, books are made available to them, or resources are made available. That's very important. And even at work, I think having a buddy to watch you, whether it's a peer, whether it's a senior resident, somebody who kind of says, hey, look, and that's one thing. Residents have a huge sense of responsibility and work ethic. So even if they have a slight itchiness in the throat or a thing, they kind of tend to say, oh my God, it's just an allergy or something like that. I'd like to go to work. So sometimes it is about telling them, hey, no, your safety, your health is very, very important. Look after it, because unless you are healthy, you cannot look after somebody else.
Absolutely.
So, watching for ourselves and being sure about that is equally important. So I think doing all these things, I think Samratni is beautifully illustrated, what can happen. We've also had several residents who've turned positive, and they are now in a wonderful position to say, hey, here's how you get over it. You can.
Been there, done that, and recovered. That's
Absolutely.
a good positive story.
It's a good tag to have, yeah.
And just one thing, most of us, including myself, have often complained, oh my God, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do anything. Whether it is doing something that you love to do, like reading a book or listening to music or dancing or anything else. We all, especially professionals and medical students, we often complain, I don't have time. So let's look at the optimistic twist. If you are in quarantine, that's the one thing you have all the time. Your
Nilima,
time.
I was
Your time
actually,
to do with
yeah,
what you want.
yeah. I was very grateful for 3 days in quarantine last week, because that gave, I was just completely run off my feet. And those first 3 days, just doing pretty much nothing was actually so relaxing.
I think being alone does not have to be lonely. One can be lonely in a big group also. So learning to enjoy your time with yourself, using it for whatever things that you otherwise never found time for, and self-care, self-compassion, self-love, all these things need time to be invested in yourself. And that's the time you get to do it. But not just don't wait for quarantine. Please do self-care on a daily basis, okay? It's part of your routine.
I'm not the faculty, but let me also put my two bits here, because during the lockdown, I got the time. I wrote 3 songs. I could get back to my singing and my music. Post lockdown, I don't have time for anything. I really don't have time for anything.
If you have time at the end of this, we're talking of time, maybe you can sing one of your composed songs for this group. But let's go on to our next PG.
Yeah, Vivek, can you unmute Garima, please?
I'm trying, but let me see. Let me get Garima's. First of all,
Dr. Datta
find.
is our next PG.
Yeah, you can take somebody else, because sometimes it's taking me time to get Garima. That's why I told the faculty, try and keep yourself on.
Dr. Datta, are you unmuted? Then can you please
Yes,
share your
yes,
journey?
ma'am.
I think
Yes,
you have a different spin on it, and we'd like to hear your experience. And all these optimistic, positive stories are going to boost up everyone's optimism in the audience.
Just so the faculty
Over to
know,
you.
you all have got the permission to unmute yourself. So don't expect, you ever just do it yourself, and you should not have any problem. Okay?
Let's hear from Shravani. Samaradni, please stay on. We have some more interesting interactions coming.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. And I'll start by thanking you for letting me share my experience. I had done my diploma in pediatrics in 2009. And after that, I had joined the Indian Armed Forces. And there I was practicing as a pediatrician. My husband is also an army officer. He's a doctor. And we have a son. But I always wanted to continue my studies. So in 2018, I finally got the opportunity to do so. I cleared NET and I got admission in MD Pediatrics in Armed Forces Medical College.
Wonderful.
But as luck would have it, at the same time, my husband got posted overseas in a UN mission. So he was not around.
With a son
Yes, ma'am.
on your own and doing your PG after a big gap.
Yes, ma'am. So it was like getting back to studies, getting back to books, getting back to residency, and single parenting at the same time. And the post diploma MD is of 2 years. So it means you have lesser time for your thesis, you have lesser time for your studies, but the working hours remain the same.
Okay.
And yes, ma'am. And finally, in March, when it felt that everything had settled down and we are finally going to give our exams and this residency would get over,
COVID happened.
Yes, ma'am, the COVID happened, and we all were called back
on
to
duty.
called back to duty with COVID duties and everything that Samradhini had mentioned with all the PPE and everything, and which provided an added stressor because again, I had a child at home, my parents were at home, and so that because after the duty is over, you have to go home. So after seeing all
We
those
are hearing a whole gamut of things from undergrad to intern to PG, and now a PG who's also a single parent right now because husband is overseas and dealing with COVID and your studies. So what helped you get that courage, have that optimism, and believe that you could do it all?
First of all, ma'am, at the end of it, now that I have done it for 4 months, and it's a privilege, ma'am, because it is something that has never happened before. And we are in the front of it. So that is a privilege. And second thing, I had tremendous support from home, my parents and in-laws, and I had tremendous support from my teachers. So that's how I could do it.
So that's the story here, that you'll often have to juggle many balls in the air. A parent, a wife, a daughter-in-law, a doctor, and now a COVID warrior. But if you can create a support system around yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your teachers, please treat your teachers also as friends. Today is Friendship Day, and age is not a bar for being friends. And reach out to them, and you'll be surprised at how much support you can get. And you're not alone. Once you know you don't have to do it all by yourself, I'm sure it was easier to take it one day at a time.
Definitely, ma'am.
Would you like to add something to it, Dr. Madhuri? Unmute. Dr. Madhuri, to be unmuted.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I mean, it's a real pleasure to listen to Shravani's story. And I feel very proud that I've been her postgraduate guide. And to tell you honestly, I asked her to share her story because even as a guide, I felt a number of times that will this late, firstly, she was posted as a young officer pregnant. If you remember, Shravani, you were in Meerut, and I mean, yes, I was at this thing, and it was, you know, I goaded her because she had that interest to get back. And where every today youngster feels if he, after internship he doesn't get a PG seat, it's the end of the thing to take a gap of 7-8 years and then study for NEET requires tremendous determination. But I wanted her to come and share this story to tell you all that where there's a will, there's a way. So, I mean, nothing is finished. It's, I have to do it just now. No, there's a whole life ahead of you, which is the optimism. And then thereafter, all the situations she went through. So everyone has problems, but you have to finally find, and I think last time I mentioned a map at one of these, this thing, where I told you all that you all need, when in times of difficulty, you're not alone. You have to create and find that map. And map, just to remind the new people here, that a mentor, it could be your colleagues, your friends, your teachers. So you all need a mentor. You need the attitude. You need that attitude that of never say, and that attitude is optimism. Optimism, resilience to hang on when most would give up. And then is, of course, that passion. Nothing comes without the passion. So I think, Shravani, all the best to you. And I'm so glad that you're going to be finishing that MD. And you really are a role example for a lot of students. Well done. And I'm sure a lot of you all have, are being motivated that, okay, I don't have as many problems, or maybe my problems are there a little different. But if she can do it, so can I.
Dr. Pratima, I would like your take on this, and just a thought that came to me when I heard Dr. Shravani's story.
Yeah.
Perhaps there is a positivity in doing your PG a little later. You are a more mature person, you are more clear on what you want to do, and probably you can handle that journey better, because really for education and learning there is no age bar, right?
I mean, in a way, yes, but I mean, I think there are both sides to it. So I don't think it's really a matter of when you do it, but really the attitude to it. And I think that's what was highlighted by Madhuri as well as Shravani herself. And again, just a little bit of a reminder of another thing. I mean, we're all prisoners of our mind. So there's a little saying that goes, 2 men looked out of the prison bars, one saw mud and the other saw stars.
Right.
Attitude, I think, is extremely, extremely important. So I think Shravani has really exemplified that having a positive attitude, having an attitude to actually, you know, to kind of get on and achieve what she wanted to do. Having this attitude of being able to take support and possibly give support. Support is always mutual. I think you need, when you take support, you are obliged to also provide support, provide different kinds. So I think that kind of mutual interdependence is something, and that's particularly important in our society, I think. And I think that's a great asset that we have. So many of the speakers mentioned their concerns about their family and looking to family for support. So I think we must not miss out on the fact that we need to be supportive of each other. Families, friends, teachers and students, mentors.
Yes. One more thing that has come out by hearing Shravani's story, and this is particularly for our young women students and women doctors and residents in this group. The statistics say that today in India, of all the medical colleges, private and government, more than 65% are girls in the first year of medical college. Many of the girls are also toppers in their first MBBS, second MBBS, others. But if you see the workforce 10 years after MBBS passing, the percentage of women drops very drastically. And Shravani is a very good example and very inspiring and very optimistic outlook for other women to say, you don't have to choose between having a personal life, getting married and having a child, and your professional life. If you can create support systems, and there is give and take in that, you can do it all. There's no this or that. The choice is, why not both, right?
Yeah, Nilima, but I think equally there is a gender perspective to this whole thing, that the amount that you need to balance, as Shravani has indicated, is a lot. So I think somewhere along the line, learning work-life balance as a skill, that kind of helps us to manage both these things effectively is very important. Not feeling disillusioned if you can't do both very well, but willing to make some compromises if you can't do everything well, is equally important.
Correct. You prioritize different things at different stages of your life when your child is very young, and having a partner who's supportive emotionally, as well as sharing the duties of childcare and other things. Of course, right now you have being a single parent is different, but otherwise, I think more women doctors would be able to do as well professionally if their spouses, whether doctors or otherwise, were more supportive and sharing on the home front duties.
Since I'm not here as a doctor, I'm here as tech support. Let me also add optimism everywhere. One of the beauty of what I have seen, I've been in this tech support role for a long time. Everybody has learned how to behave in a panel like this. I'm not seeing echoes this time very much. This is the first time. Everybody's technically they are doing so well. So these are all the skills, believe me, we've developed. Madhuri will endorse that, because it was so much difficult to have a meeting like this before. I've got 51 to 60, 75 participants, and everybody knows there's no echo, no kirkir, no kinky, no honking of horns. So that itself has been a huge, huge learning. And this
I think
is from the
webinar
tech
etiquettes
support.
have improved.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the kind of information and the kind of interaction we have in the webinar, it beats what we had before the physical conferences. The physical conferences was about many other things.
We've heard from both our PGs, we've heard from our intern, we've heard from our undergraduate student. Now I'm sure there were a lot of questions posted. Because I'm moderating, I'm not looking at that. If anybody has seen those questions and one of the tech support team or any of the panelists would like to take any of those questions, even the students might want to take a question, that's great. And very important is we are going to be doing some polling. So would you like to do that now, Dr. Madhuri?
Ma'am, I would like to have 3 questions basically, ma'am, of the interns currently facing issues.
Yeah.
First issue is the students are not getting a proper clinical exposure, ma'am, as they have to pursue the PG. They will be choosing the subjects based on the internship postings, ma'am. If he wants to take a medicine, he will be learning from the medicine posting in the internship, and he wishes to begin the MD medicine as he learned from internship, ma'am. So now they are not getting an exposure of clinicals properly, ma'am. That is the first issue, ma'am. Second issue,
mostly
ma'am.
everybody is doing only COVID duties, so they're not getting the rotation.
Okay. Well, answer that question, then we can take the next question.
Yeah, I'll answer your question on that. I mean, I think I would beg to differ on that. And I think it is in a college because emergencies are happening. And some of the interns I spoke to, Arvind, they were quite, because what do? You do your 4 basic rotations. COVID is teaching you enough of community medicine aspects, protection, preventive in a different way. You've got a chance of a lifetime. Gynae deliveries are not stopping. Everything is going on as before. Medicine, heart attacks and emergencies are coming. In fact, some of the interns in one of my hospitals told me, ma'am, all the seniors are busy. We have even now become expert at thrombolizing patients because we are doing that. So I think it's also an attitude of how you go back and get that exposure. children are coming, OPDs are running everywhere, so your pediatrics is going. So, yes, accidents may be lesser because people are not driving on the road. So trauma may be something which is definitely, and in a way, a good thing, but there's plenty to learn that later on. So having said that, I think the clinical exposure, it is how you jump into it and, take it. And more than that, my complaint is other way. Interns are just not, most interns may not be you or the people who've expressed this wish to you. We as educators find that the interns are losing out on internship because all they want to do is study MCQs for the NEET PG. So, so I think, and we are looking at this, the possibility of next exam and how we can sort this coaching class. Even in MBBS, people are going to dams and doing, I'm sure there would be a number of faces laughing here because that's what's happening. So that's, so therefore, expressing this is somehow not really in keeping with what is possible and what can. So, I mean, you be optimistic that there's पूरी जिंदगी पड़ी है बाकी, जो अभी मौका मिला है उसको हाथ लगा लो. Lifetime में यार pandemics रोज नहीं होते. Most of us would have finished a practical clinical work without even having been involved. And now even if we want to, our age prevents us from going and learning how to treat COVID patients. Look at you all are getting starting your career with a lifetime chance of treating pandemics. So there's a positivity to that, right? So you can have a rapid fire if you have 2-3 questions, and then I'll go on to the poll because that will involve everyone. That will involve everyone.
Adding to this exam and coaching, a lot of people keep feeling they have to prepare a lot for an exam. But honestly, when you are a medical professional, every day is like giving an exam. You don't know what is in store, what kind of patient, what kind of emergency. If you're a surgeon, when you open the abdomen, surprises are going to come. So every case, everything is like a small exam. So get the fear of exams out of your mind and the fact that you have to only focus on MCQs and answering questions to succeed. No. Learn your knowledge as you go, apply your knowledge, and approach it optimistically that you'll be doing the best you can for every patient.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, second problem is
noted now because I'm going to conduct a lot of these things. So, Dr. Nilima, that's very correct. But when you are at the receiving end, this kind of theory doesn't work. That enjoy this. Then their goal is ki PG seat milni hai. So I think we need to change the system and not expect the students to change much. So,
Modi
if
ji
you
has
are
already announced a massive revamping of the whole education system in our country, so I'm sure medical education also will be improved with your guidance, Madhuri.
Yeah. So, so let me share my screen.
Okay, I hope everybody has downloaded the link. If not, there's
and if not, I will. If not, I will get you to it. So that should not be a problem because my screen is now visible. I'll just put this on the side.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So this is because the theme was optimism, and I thought I'll just run this thing. This is a huge thing which is coming out and will be soon available to you all, and a lot of initiatives are being taken. And let me tell you, like from top down, everyone is concerned. Everyone is concerned of the youth, and building mental health in 9 simple steps is something which is the principal scientific advisors.
Madhuri, can you click on the slideshow so you can occupy the whole screen?
Yeah, no, because I mean there were just a couple of them.
Oh, fine.
So okay. I was not okay. I can do that for the moment. But so this was something which is going to be coming out, and it reminds you of exactly what that if you're in stress, you can choose any of this. Sleep is important. Fit mind in a fit body is important. I mean, yes, alcohol limited, fine. Practice meditation. All this is like, but it's nice to be in touch with that, and you can choose anyone. These are the now Ratnas, but I think most important is connect with nature, and a fit mind and a fit body will take care of most of the other things. But I want everyone to, before I move on to the poll, have a look at this photograph. I'm sure everyone is seeing this, and keep looking at it for a while. And then, because I think it's important. Can you see it? Everyone is seeing it, right?
Yes.
So I'm giving you 10 seconds to have a look at this. I mean, just spot whatever, because this is a memory test which you're going to be asked questions on. So I'm trying to make it a little fun. So please have a look at this. Okay, so that was finished. And now ready to vote. So I go into this thing. 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, so in case you don't have it and you have a smartphone, what you can do is open your camera on open your camera smartphone, and on the screen, just you'll directly be gone to the website. So for those who had not downloaded but have a smartphone, just take your phone, scan this barcode that I've shown, and it will take you to a site called Direct Poll. I hope most of you all have got it. So I assume that most of you all have now got it. So it does your screen will probably say your presenter will start the poll. Please stay tuned. So after this, I'm going to ask, and then your camera is going to be able, you're going to be able to punch in the answers for me.
Before you start, I want to know how many of you were able to do that. You can just text in the chat. Anybody is having problems doing that? I'm assuming that everybody managed to do that.
I mean, yeah, in the chat, if you could not do it, say could not.
Yeah, could not. I'm
okay.
Just saying,
so
I'm not able to.
If you're not, you can type. So
okay.
Those who are not able to.
Only not able to. Only those who are not able to. So
only those who are not able to can type HTTP, this ETCCHOYEJ. You can type that,
into
the URL and from a Google Chrome, and you will get it. So either that or barcode can be scanned with your camera.
Yeah, so Garima send the link for all those who could not. Just click on that link and you get to something called Direct Poll. Okay, Madhuri, take over. Your presenter will start the poll.
Most of you have got it now. So hopefully I can start. Yeah, so we will. Okay, so here goes your first question. Please answer. Please click on your phone, because I just want to know what are the spectrum that I'm addressing today.
Madhuri, one thing was you're talking about PG, UG, and others. So are you talking about
others?
Students?
I mean, if there are doctors and all,
doctors.
so
okay, fine. Got it.
Yeah, because this is a student quiz, right? So
yeah,
for all the others, so I just want to know that suppose we are only, I mean, the speakers who are all going to vote, then we're going to just have wrong information.
Right.
So it's really nice that I mean, we have 53.3% as UGs and 6.7% PGs. And a fair amount of interns are also. We have a good spectrum, but I love it because this is I mean, if you look at our structure also has maximum undergraduates, right? So it's a fair representation. Fantastic. So with that, we go to the next. Yes.
This is very
I'm
nice,
so
Madhuri.
happy.
Very nice.
Dr. Nilima, aren't you really happy? Look at the situation. That I mean, we have such a healthy, bubbling, nice people, and 30% are worried, but at the end, I'm sure we'll be able to solve all their problems.
So keep being optimistic. Wonderful.
Yes. Oh, lovely. Look at the balancing. Isn't this fun?
Yeah.
Because, you're so getting everyone participating, and I hope everyone is being able to. I'm sorry if, you all could not scan it for some reason. But wow, that's half of you are enjoying your online classes, which is so nice. And I mean, this is what Dr. Vivek just told us. look at us in 3 month, how tech savvy we've all become. I don't think I knew anything about this kind of online polling and how to use these platforms. I didn't know that so many platforms existed. And I didn't know that, yes, Zoom can be banned and the Chinese have to be banned and the Indians have to, I mean, what have you? And we are producing so many own, look at the growth in our tech savvy. And again, the point of optimism, I'll keep bringing in evidence base, because it's not enough to tell medical people just, be happy and this, that. The education policy is out, and that's going to change the entire country, is this thing where we are going on to e-learning platforms. So you have been got into propelled into an environment of your own and learned it so fast, because necessity is the mother of invention. And the other thing is, they're soon going to come into, you have the opportunity, get familiarized with it. It's soon going to come into the curriculum of the undergraduate and the postgraduate, because the way forward, it's here to stay. Telemedicine is here to stay. So we're going to have more and more of telemedicine consultation. It's been, given by the Gazette notification since May. And look at the number of platforms that have been opened up. And the Prime Minister tweeted that hospital visits are down by 67%, and millions in India are already using telemedicine. So I'm going to keep telling you reasons to be optimistic and cheerful. And just today, when I was giving a consultation, a 76-year-old lady, wife of a retired soldier, her grandson helped her connect. And she was so happy that she could talk to a doctor and see me and help her for her osteoarthritis. Can you imagine this in a non-COVID era? No. So look at the optimism.
Just sharing my experience, since we could not be frontline warriors, I had become a volunteer for Government of India, and because I speak so many languages, every day I'm spending 3 to 4 hours on recently detected COVID positive cases to do telecounseling and tele-guidance and tele-triaging.
Excellent.
And there's so much gratitude from them, and it makes me feel good that I can do my bit.
Yeah, that's why people sitting wondering what to do. There are so many things you can do. So we'll go on to the next one, because at each one I'm going to try and show you something. Okay, so now you suppose I say college is opening. How many would like to go back, and how many would say, no, I'm scared and therefore I would prefer to stay at home? I see this is anonymous, so just feel free to put your finger onto this thing.
You must be honest about sharing your feeling. There's no right, wrong here.
Yeah. See, I'm still not getting everyone part, because there are only 27 who have voted. Possibly people have not been able to get the link. I just get the number. I don't understand who votes what, but I see a link here, 29. We've reached 29, but nice. 30, that's good. So what we are, see, the more than half of you would like to go back to college. And that's excellent. And I share with you that possibly we're trying to look at a feasibility of at least starting some, the senior batches who will get clinical exposure and getting them in college, because medical college is not any other college, right? It never can shut down. As against other schools and colleges which shut down, medical college can never shut down, because your labs are running, your faculty is running. So therefore, if we can get with social distancing and all the guidelines in place, we are looking at it, and I'm glad that more than 58%, and I'm sure this would be more the UGs, which this thing would like to get back. So thank you so much. Oh, 1 minute. I think I clicked twice. Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay, let's vote on this.
Yeah.
How many of us are scared?
Yes.
How many of us are scared?
Please be honest. There's nothing, because all of us are scared. So you can be scared, you cannot be scared.
Yeah, and being brave doesn't mean you don't feel scared. Being brave means you
Yeah.
learn to overcome your fear.
Yeah. So yes, you're rightly getting scared of getting infection. So let me tell you again the positive this of it. Something which you're going to be, again, I'm going to talk only evidence and studies. I'm not going to say, okay, you'll not get, even if you get, so what? I would like to bring to your notice, and I'm quoting a paper in Science from a group of mathematicians and people who worked with hospitals, and this is from two universities, Nottingham and Sweden. It's a paper by Britain, and in that they've given age-wise chances of you getting positivity and getting infection and rate, and the middle, that is teenagers and young adults, are probably going to get the highest positivity with the least amount of any associated complications. So that's one positive thing, that you are young, you are healthy, you're going to, even if you get it, so what? Like we've heard so many doctors on this forum. And the second wonderful thing is, I don't know how many of you will have followed it up, but if you saw Bombay peaked and finished, Delhi peaked and finished, and what was the seroconversion? It was, the peak starts going down at a seroconversion of just about 20, between 16, 17 and 35. And they are all asymptomatic cases. So it doesn't matter how many people get infection. It is the asymptomatic cases which are bringing down the peak. And if you see, I'll talk a little bit of science, because again, like I said, I'm sure you all are here not to just be told not to get worried, but want to know some science in this. It is a fact that what is happening is, if you have to immunize, you must have heard of herd immunity, you need 60%. But when you need active infection related immunity, sometimes it's as low as even 20% is very good, because what does the virus do? It does selection. It catches hold of the most susceptible, gets them infection, and the healthiest and the best get this immunity positive. And therefore the peak starts going down. So therefore, I mean, that is even more cause to be optimistic and be so happy that we are not going to have major problems. And because our population data is spread like that, India is having the best kind of, and because of the early lockdown and a lot of factors. But I think this is something to be optimistic.
It's really wonderful to know that 20% seroconversion starts giving a sort of herd immunity and
yes. So you can look at it the half glass empty and say that yes, 25% are only, but 75% can get the infection. But in that 25% caused the peak to start coming down. Like Delhi is no more seeing the cases that were happening in nor is Bombay. So I think this is important. So with that, we go to the next question.
Our time is running out. We can just go quickly with the question.
Yeah.
Come on, fastest finger first.
Anyone else? Because I mean, I'm sure you're paying a lot of fees. So I just wanted to understand the magnitude that finances add to the worries. Yeah, quick, vote quickly. Because I'd seen 30 votes, so there's no reason why you cannot vote. Okay, good. So I've got 31. So that's yes. See, so therefore, I think going back to college, starting college, finishing your degrees is important. Quick. Fastest finger.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to see a large percentage are finding these useful.
Yeah.
It really makes
So
me more motivated to do more of these.
Yes. More power to D for D. Great. So we've got most of the stuff.
Wonderful. So our purpose of this webinar is really served. Thank you, Dr. Madhuri. Thank you, Dr. Pratima. Thank you, Dr. Anu. Thank you, Dr. Samradni. Thank you, Dr. Datta. Thank you, Dr. Arvind and Garima.
No. Thank you all the participants.
No, that first of all for the panelists, because you all made the webinar happen. And then thank you for all your wonderful participation with your chat box and with your polling.
Madhuri, can you stop sharing your screen so I can unmute all the participants and see what happens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I have to finish my voting.
Voting. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Finish.
I think this is very important.
Sure. Sorry.
If given it, I want to know the thought of the undergraduates, because Arvind, I told you I would like to take this on. And it's absolutely fair to say whatever you feel like.
Wonderful. Most people want to volunteer. That's so
Yeah,
positive
and I
so
expect,
optimistic.
yes.
Kudos to
So
all
therefore,
of you.
I mean, this is good because these results are going to remain with me, and I think this is really nice because it gives a fair amount of what people are thinking.
It has been a wonderful session. We had planned to end by 7:30. We have overshot a little. I'm sorry if it delayed other people, but I think it was all great. And I'm very optimistic that every month we can have such webinars and more of you all can participate and get all your friends to also come on board and talk and share. This is a platform for reaching out, sharing, caring, and helping each other. That's what Doctors for Doctors is. Jai Hind, Jai IMA D4D, and God bless you all.
Yes, but I must compliment, it was a sunrise. So you see, even if you saw it was a sunset, doesn't matter, it was a sunrise, and sunrise is, and we're all going to see only sunrises and be very, very optimistic. So thank you so much. That ends my poll. I'll stop sharing and you can just this thing and let's all clap and say, yes, we've had fun. So everyone open your pictures. Everyone open your pictures if you can.
Hold on, let me
Open
get
your
it.
pictures and unmute everyone. Vivek.
Hang on, let me unmute
Unmute
everybody.
everyone.
Hang on, unmute everybody. ISCO manage participants. Basically, I would say allow participants to play sound. Okay.
Unmute everyone, Vivek.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute everyone, but it's basically
Everybody unmute yourselves.
Yeah, everybody can unmute yourselves. I don't think it's a problem because I've got mute all. Allow participants to unmute yourselves. Yeah, here you go. All of you can unmute yourself. You have the option. There you go.
I would say do what you're doing now.
All right. Hang on. Now, we are
muted.
Yeah, we are not unmuting for any questions. What we're going to do is we're going to unmute for Dr. Nilima to find out.
And before we close, I do have a question. Which
may I ask Dr. Vivek to lead us in a song?
Specific to your career.
All right, quickly, all of you follow. The simplest song I like to do is I start 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm a honge kamiyab. I'm a honge kamiyab. Everybody, join me. I'm a ek din oh hai vishwas pura hai vishwas hum honge kamiyab ek din.
Yes, God bless everyone. Positivity, optimism, and we'll see you next month on the next webinar. Good night. Bye bye. Shabba khair.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Of course, we'll wait. Dr. Nilima, Madhuri, and myself over. Let's wait for all the guests to go. We like to be good hosts. The faculty will stay back, and then we'll leave finally. Yeah.
Bye
Number
bye.
30,
Thank you.
29 participants. We are only now. We started with 74, 75, 28. Good.
Good night. Sleep well.
As you go out, you please pick up your return gift. Pick up whatever.
Hello, Nilima ma'am. Hi.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
ma'am.
Everyone
Hi. Good
take
to see
back
you
the
after so
return
long.
of a word of optimism.
Yeah, ma'am.
People would often ask me, are you waiting for the vaccine? Are you worried you get virus? I said, you know what? I would like to go through this, be relatively asymptomatic, recover from it, get my immunity, and move on. So,
Yes.
fundamentally,
Same.
but it's not happening to me. I'm not getting it. So I said, hey, don't speak too soon. Yeah. So it's fine. One way or the other. I hate the vaccine. It'll avoid the vaccine.
Event now. Let's
Yeah.
end the event.
All of you, bye bye. I'm going to end the event. Tata. Take care.
Thank you.